Hi.
Hi, Jesse and Michael. I'm Jesse. No, Dim. Let me see myself. Yeah, let me see yourself. You're so cute, Lori.
Wait, did you want to see yourself or did she want to see
No,
yourself?
I was talking about myself. No, not like I don't want to see myself. Like watch myself.
But you can't watch yourself and be on the camera at the same time.
Guys, oh my God.
There.
Oh, that's my cell phone.
What hat?
That one.
I'm not filming it.
Oh.
It's not a hat.
What is that? Oh, that's a
Piece of
clock.
trash. Go faster. Oh, come on, Mario.
Remember that like that curve that was just like truly like
Safe driver.
You were going like 45 on it. Wasn't that the night that I started laughing hysterically and I was driving and I was like
Is that recording?
and I was driving like this.
Okay.
and I was
So if you're coming up to a stoplight, all right, and there's a guy in front of you, and he should be stopping too, because he should be going past the stoplight. Excuse me.
Yeah. Oh.
Because he has plenty of time to go through. Would you not accelerate,
Close up on John.
expecting him to go through the stoplight, and then if need be, slam on your brakes and swerve around him?
Close up on John. Really,
You would,
really close up on John.
Say a little.
You hear that bam?
Yeah, I heard that.
What's it called? The thing you put at the bottom of stuff.
Funny bone.
No.
Clear yourself of all legality.
Your funny tendon.
Funny nerd.
Your hilarious tendon.
Is it recording?
Yes.
Funny ligament.
That's why it says wreck.
I have a silly.
Actually, it's just looking at your face, and your face is like wreck.
No,
John,
I just did it weird.
Is your face
Situation
It's like Christopher
and
Walken.
or what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
The situation you've just heard edition and does not mean it actually happened.
Me too.
Amorphous.
Ignore her.
Unfortunately, I didn't record that whole thing in one. Still think it was just edited.
John, if it says not recording, don't touch it.
Yeah, I could,
Or like a YHS.
Maybe. No, like Rick Hatch. Like that's what he was made.
yeah, no, it's not. Those aren't.
Hey guys, in all honesty, do not be late coming back to the vans because we have to make our next thing at 7:30. All right?
How much time do we have, bro?
$15 a minute you're late.
5 after 7.
Mario's like this. I mean, Mike.
That's my.
That's about 12 minutes probably.
Oh,
Yeah? Yeah, you can.
I'm just leaving myself in here. I got some what do I need? School supplies for us.
I don't need any. I'm just. Yo, yeah, dude, he's done. Alright, he's done.
Forward, let's get here next.
Let's go quick.
Hey, I can get you
You
here
got 12 minutes.
Hook you up on Thursday. Come on, talk people.
Get you a hair bleaching set. Bleach it.
I think so.
Yeah, it says I'm recording. What are we doing? You gotta narrate.
We are walking through Walmart right now because our kids feel like there's a private little civilization, so here we are. Oh, once there's a Walmart person, so be careful. Here's Tim Wood. Let's see who he's trying to find.
I'm going to give you a choice. That was your one and only line. If you want, you can go back and sit down, or you can stay here with all the guys. All right, Bartimaeus, you're going to be a key person.
Okay.
Okay?
I get to speak a lot.
Yes, you do a lot, okay? Okay. Now, you're blind. You cannot see. You hear all this noise, okay? So your line is open is, hey, what's happening? What's going on? Okay? That's
So I say it.
it.
It's what's happening, what's going on.
Hey, what's happening? What's going on?
Hey, what's happening? What's going on?
All right, let me increase the volume on it. We've got a little blip right here. I'm not sure what that is.
What's going on?
I think I'm gonna take a little bit of that out. If we take a closer look at it, we can, doesn't look too bad that way, but we'll take that out. And if we get this amplitude up. There we go.
Hey, what's happening? What's going on?
All right.
Now, you're the man passerby. Okay? Are you ready? Yeah, I know you are, but I'm worried about her.
Okay, ready?
Okay, let's practice.
Yeah, I'm ready.
You are, okay. And what you, all right, he sort of stops you, you saw him kind of reaching out to him. And you say to him, Jesus of Nazareth is going by.
Alright.
Jesus of Nazareth is going by.
Jesus of Nazareth, you're going by.
Did you accidentally turn it off?
It's a good
Bummer,
thing.
he has to do
Why?
Okay, you ready?
Jesus of Nazareth is going by.
Okay,
Jesus of Nazareth is going by.
yeah.
Shut your mouth.
Very good.
I will be excused.
All right.
Jesus of Nazareth is going by.
Good.
We got that.
All right. Okay.
What?
Everybody ready? You're on, okay? It's a long one. Jesus.
Oh,
You're trying to get his attention. Remember, you're blind. You heard that Jesus has healed people. What that means, you want to get his attention, okay?
Jesus!
Okay, do that again.
Jesus!
Right. That looks good. Take that one.
Jesus!
That sounds like he's kind of eager to get Jesus' attention here.
Sounds like you just took the Lord's
What are you
name.
using?
Just don't be sitting next to him when the lightning bolts start.
Are
Jake, you
ready?
might want to scoot to the next seat over.
Are you ready for 274?
No, hang on just a minute.
It's amazing how she can see what's on the screen behind her when she's facing the other way.
I realized that I was putting things. Okay, now we're
Yeah, it
ready
was
for
hilarious.
274.
You're blind. You don't know whether they heard you the first time?
Okay, ready.
Jesus.
Jesus!
Holy cow.
Okay, now we don't need that pop in there, so we'll just take that much of it.
Jesus!
All right, so we make sure that that one's.
Some big waves there.
And we'll put that in the track. And this is-
We may work on something like this for a half hour to get it down and get everything like it should be. But not tonight.
Not tonight. Let me get this into.
Okay, here's your line. Jesus, Son of David, have mercy.
And this is 275. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Jesus, Son of David, have mercy.
Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me.
Yeah, pretty good. That's my first.
Listen to the voice of experience.
Jesus. You're humble too, right?
Oh.
Emily.
What did the guy say? Said you're humble too, right?
Okay, ready?
276?
276.
Okay. All right, now Jesus, it's a very simple question. What do you want me to do for you?
What do you want me to do for you?
Okay, so we got it from this part.
Do you hear how fast you talk now?
Yeah, well, I know.
I
You
thought
just
that's
spoke
you.
with a New York accent.
He was making up time for dropping the
Be
mic.
Robert De Niro.
He sounds like Kermit the Frog. I just said that.
What do you want?
What do you want from me?
277. Okay, ready?
I want to see.
I want to see.
Passionate. Yeah.
how you put up with them, but I'll tell you what, watching.
You see it over
We
there.
watch him. We watch him.
I want to see.
See what?
I want to see.
And we got a little bit of a
I want
little something, I think it
want to
yeah,
see.
right in there. Something that doesn't sound right. Anyway, we'll leave it in there for now since we're short on time.
This is good Italian background, huh?
Okay, that was 277.
Good Italian
Bartimaeus.
background. Let's hear his background.
Okay, 278.
Okay, now Jesus, you're getting it.
Ready.
Okay. And see, your faith has made you well. Okay? Remember, he's asked you, and you just hear it. Then see, your faith has made you well.
Okay.
That was beautiful, Jay.
Thank you. Get it right. Oh, we'll check it out.
That's all for you this time, man.
Then see, your faith has made you well.
I'm gonna pull your battery.
That was funny.
Yeah. You didn't hear that far away. Okay, so we're now at 279. Okay, ready?
All right, you ready?
Ready.
All right, we're on 279.
I can see.
Okay, that's it. Yeah.
I can see.
Ooh, yes, I can see. All right, 279 is Bartimaeus. Okay, and 280. Coming up. All right, 280.
Yep.
Ready.
Are you ready for him, please?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I can really see.
Say it again.
Say it again.
I can really see.
Make sure you're looking at the ceiling.
I can really see.
Yes.
And then the last one is 280.
281.
281.
I can really see what 280.
Okay, 281 ready.
Okay.
Praise God.
Is that good enough?
Round of applause.
What is it?
Something that comes off of a pit.
It means you like being in this spot.
No, I hate it.
I
actually hate
it.
We believe you.
Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll play the whole thing. And put it in the blocks in order. I'll enlarge this so that you'll see a little bit better.
Flip that light switch off.
As Jesus approached Jericho, the blind beggar was sitting beside him.
Hey, what's happening? What's going on? Jesus of Nazareth is going by. Jesus! Jesus! Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me.
What do you want me to do for you?
I want to see.
Then see, your faith has made you well.
I can see.
I can really see. Praise God.
So there you have your voices put right into the video, and then from this, it can be put right onto a tape or onto a VCD or DVD, which makes it really easy. Now you notice that some of the pictures didn't quite match, and one of the things that we can do, if I can get back to where we are, is that we can move the voices around a little bit so that they match the picture a little bit better. But we're short on time, so I won't take time to do that now. But you see how it's done with the technology now, with the computer. It's so easy to be able to record directly into the computer, and we also edit in the computer.
And so we've given her some time that she's going to present some things to you, then we'll have some time for questions. If you have some, so start thinking what you might want to ask. And then after that is all finished, if you're kind of winding down, we'll bring things to a close as far as that part. We'll have some dessert for you, and then you can interact with Rachel one-on-one or small group. She's got some things you can look at. And you can use the equipment in this room under the condition you use it gently, as it is here for our elementary school program. This is our youth center on Jar Center. Monday night middle school meets here, Thursday night high school meets here, and during the summer, Monday through Friday mornings, our elementary kids here have kind of like a vacation Bible school activities. And so if mothers want to stay involved in working on school-age kids, they can do that. So, we'd like if you give Rachel your attention, and think of questions that you'd like to ask. So, thank you very much, Rachel. Let's encourage her.
Hey guys, I am Rachel. I go to NC State University in Raleigh. You guys know Wolfpack, ACC. I'm really into sports up there, games and stuff. You guys from Illinois, right?
Yeah.
So you guys are all from the same youth group. Is that how this works? Okay, cool. So how did you guys hear about this?
Mario.
Where is he?
Not you.
There.
Over there. How did you find out about this?
I went 2 years ago, but there was some other friends of mine up there who just said this was a really great experience. Like my name on the wait list came 3 years ago.
So what do you guys think of it so far? I know you've been here like 2 days, but you like it? Getting a good missions experience. Cool. Well, I want to share about my missionary experience. When I was 11, my parents and I, my older brother, went to Papua New Guinea for 2 years. We joined the group a few years before that. We needed some computer help, which is my dad's specialty, so we went up there for a few years. That was quite an experience. 11 years old, you're about to go into middle school. You know, a lot of changes. So you guys may have just come from that. I don't know. What's the youngest person here?
Jacob. 14.
14. So not too far. What happens if you're But for me, it was really cool. Papua New Guinea isn't your typical other. It's not a city or anything. We're very much in the bush areas. We're in a village area called the Garapa. That's one of the largest working places, just because the need there is so great. There's over 875 languages alone in Papua New Guinea. Do you guys even know where Papua New Guinea is? I should even ask that question. Do you guys know what it is? Those of you that don't, it's the other half of this Indonesian island above Australia. Very small. It's only about the size of a few states in America. So to think there's over 875 languages in this little half of an island is amazing. So there's a big base there that a lot of translators use. So yes, my dad's main job was to help those translators. He provided any kind of technical support they needed with programs or just literacy, logistics. He was there to help. And my mom is the complete opposite. She does any kind of visual arts. Yes, there are artists in missionary work, and she was very creative side to their technical organization. So her job there was to do illustrations for books. Of all those 875 languages, let me see the stats here. 150 have been translated, and 180 are in progress. So while they're in progress, they usually try and help these people to read and write. So it's not just we're going to give them the Bible in their own language. They're teaching them to read and write along the way. So these little books that should illustrate would help them do that. They're just kind of like hygiene books, different stuff like that. So you're not just there to translate the Bible. It's not all like that. So that was her main job. Let's see. What we did for fun. I really got into riding horses there. It was amazing. There's this
with the serpent in its mouth, that's where they would build their capital city. In 1325, they did find it, and they developed what we now know as Mexico City. We have some pictures, a couple of pictures of it. They're kind of dated, but that's the best we were able to come up with. The tower in the back is 43 stories tall, which was tall for Mexico standards. It was the first building built down there to withstand earthquakes. They had a problem renting space in it because people did not trust the architecture of it. They finally had an earthquake and the building withstood, and then after that, they had no problem at all getting tenants for the building. It was very fashionable to have an office there, and they felt secure and safe with it. The other is Mexico by Night, Mexico City. They are into art in a big way and very colorful, and they use any and everything to make it. The two geometric lines, one on the left is the god of corn, the one below is the goddess of salt. They are carryovers from the days when idol worship was throughout the entire nation. It's made from straw, little individual pieces of straw, all matted together. And I don't know how they get the coloring into it and the dyes, but that's the way they make it. As we go out, they use any and everything for their artwork. All the floral arrangements that you'll see throughout are made from corn shucks and corn stalks. When Wycliffe entered Mexico in 1936, President Lázaro Cárdenas was the then president. He was in from 1934 to 1940. He was a very generous and loving man and had concern of the everyday common people. It said that he stood one day for 13 hours talking to some just everyday folks like us. In his 6 years in office, he spent less than 3 years in Mexico City. He lived in an ordinary house nearby, and the palace was used only for entertaining and state functions. The bust was built by Alan Ballman, a missionary kid. His father and mother were assigned to Brazil. His father was a pilot, and he spent most of his life in Brazil. The bust is done from photos only. Cardenas was deceased when this was done. Alan used the tub of a Maytag washing machine, sheet metal from Volkswagen, and the eyebrows and mustache were made from little pieces of coat hangers that he clipped off, and then the whole thing was welded together. And that's why he has the lines throughout it. When you get next door, there will be 3 more pieces of his work over there and one in the lobby of the Townsend building. And he has others, I think, in Texas and Oklahoma. The automobile was a gift of the Cardenases to Cameron and Elvira Townsend. Elvira was his first wife, and we'll come on back to it. It's a 1938 Chevrolet. The Townsends were traveling to and from the States by public transportation. Cardenas asked why they did not have a car, and Townsend said, well, they just couldn't afford one, so he gave him a check for $1,000 and said, your next trip to the States, buy an automobile, which he did for the whopping sum of about $800. The $200 we think went to buy gas, and you can imagine how much gas $200 bought then as compared to what it would buy today. It has 327,000 miles on it. It has its original block, and it will still run. The car was reconditioned by the Dickerson Company here in Monroe. It took 3 years to do, and they looked the world over to get appropriate parts that couldn't be restored. It has no air conditioning, no radio, not even sure it had a heater. If you go around to the back, you'll see a picture in the back glass of a young man on his wedding day. He has the distinct privilege of saying he was born on the back seat of this car. They were 2 hours outside of Mexico City in a village, and she had been in labor for 4 days, and Elaine Townsend, Cameron's second wife, was the chauffeur for her, and they got into Mexico City tied up in traffic, and he was born in the car. If you look at a picture in the corner over there, you'll see a picture of Cameron and Elaine Townsend, his second wife. Now, Elvira died in '44, and he married Elaine in '46. The picture and the 2 mugs were gifts from the Cardenases to the Townsends on their wedding day. The platter above may or may not have anything to do with the picture and the mugs. On this wall we have some pictures of Cardenas out with the everyday folks, some with Whitworth workers and early workers down there, some with dignitaries from within and with outside of Mexico. The picture on the left there is Cardenas with his family when his son was small, and below it is the son as a grown man. He also ran for public office, but was not elected for whatever the reason. He would have made a good president if he had been anything like his father. The watch was a gift to the museum from Mrs. Cardenas. Was one he wore. The silver coin was in representative of the 30th anniversary of economic independence, and the gold is the 40th year. The sculpture is made of ironwood. If it's dropped into water, it sinks to the bottom. It will not float like a normal piece of wood would do. Mexico is blessed with a lot of onyx. The candlesticks in the vase are also onyx. A long time I thought onyx was the black stones that we see in rings and that kind of stuff, but it does come in the white and the beige and the marble affected type things. And they use it extensively, like a lot of things there. This is a formal dress from the Zapotec Indian tribe. It's hand embroidered over black velvet. Took many, many hours to do, but it is all hand done. The necklace is imitations of actual gold coins that they would wear in that tribe and wear their wealth around their neck. The headpiece is a carryover from the very early days of Mexico when the ship was shipwrecked off the coast, they think from Spain, and the trunk was washed up on the shores. And when they opened it, they found a girl's christening dress. Someone decided it would make a good headpiece, and it made a fashion statement and caught on. Time to them doesn't mean what it does to us. So if something takes 300, 400, 500 hours to do, they don't think anything of it. They just go ahead with it. The black water pot there on the stand right here is made from some clay out of one of the rivers down there, iron clay. When it is fired in the kiln, it will turn black and the color goes throughout and will remain so. It is not a painted piece. And the bird on the podium with it is also from the same ore clay. All four of the mannequins come from Mexico. They were bought there and imported here because they have the more true features of the Indians, the hair type, and also the general body build would be closer to the true form of a Mexican Indian than could be bought here in the States. All the clothing is handmade and hand embroidered, and it's representative of several different tribes. The one on the extreme right is probably from up in the mountain areas. You'll notice it is a heavier clothing, and that is to offset the cool nights in the mountain areas. The house is a reproduction of one that might be found out in the mountainous area where they have a lot of wood and timbers and that kind of thing to work with. The hammock, I'm told, will sleep a couple and several children. I don't know how comfortable that could be, but I hear that some of you sleep in them around here. Are they comfortable?
Oh my word.
They are?
I think they're great.
Okay. Well, I don't know, I guess it'd beat the floor or the ground, whatever.
That's also with myself, so.
Oh, okay, yeah. I can see one person, but a family, I don't think so. They have a way to hand weave the loom on the back wall on the left back there. The end up close to the ceiling is put over nail or stump, anything they can find to hold it. And the lower end is put over the head and brought down to the waist. And then they set Indian style on the ground and they weave. Each of the shuttles has a different colored thread, and that's how they get the different colors in the pattern. As it is worked on, they roll it under to keep it taut. They use gourds and all that kind of stuff for bowls for dippers to drink water out of. Some grow along the ground, others are on trees. The yellow one would be one off of a tree, the bowl would be one on the ground and the top cut off of it. And then they're painted up and sold for decoration.
It. I thought it was an alarm.
Maybe.
Kathy O'Brien.
Driving me.
Mike, get on the front and pretend like it's your car. Like, pretend to lean on it.
In the front.
Yeah. Mike, did you win this in a raffle?
Yeah, I did actually. It was like the best Jungle Man's competition. And I had to go around and I swung from like some vine thing.
How many people were there in it?
About 700.
How much did it cost to enter?
About $300.
Okay. That's pretty nice. Z3 Land Shark. There you go.
They didn't finish their error.
Nice.
Well, you know, I do what I can.
Alright. You're going to have to give us a ride a little bit later.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Alright.
Then I realized I probably didn't. It would have been like, it makes it for city, blah, blah, blah. And we would have been like, oh, you see this?
Yeah,
is
you would like
my
take
life.
I don't like you. Michael! The camera! You're gonna get the poor people sick that watch that.
Dave,
You're not even recording, are you?
don't smile at all on this camera. I'm not.
I have a question for you. Do you like potatoes and monkeys? Did you ever eat them together?
What about Monkey Brain?
Don't smile on camera. Ah!
Okay, you're having too much fun.
Oh, that's soon. Wow, that's really ugly. Hey, somebody tell me what we're doing here.
We are going to. We are going to an alphabet museum. And we just got home from the Mexican one. We wanted to host Twitter.
So now we're dancing.
And this is now the Alphabet Museum. Don't know what it's about.
She's dancing.
It's about the alphabet.
Doing Mexican dance.
Apparently. About the alphabet. They say it's supposed to be real deep. Yeah, like deep. Like Emily can't take
Like it's
deep.
underground.
No, as in like,
Do your little dance.
we take the alphabet very seriously.
What do you think about that, Dave Clapp? No, come on. Tell me what you think about his little dance.
Laura was like holding on to the pot.
get some,
I'm like,
footage
Lauren,
of the Z
do
for her?
not touch.
Yeah.
Thank
Isn't that
you.
pretty?
She was like holding on to the pot.
I didn't realize there was a do not touch sign. Tower, but they believe that the original was probably a ziggurat type form that was popular during that time for building things, especially religious things. We're going to move over here to the alphabet tree. Now, I don't know if you've given any thought to this. I haven't before coming to we're up here a little bit ago, but there's a difference between alphabet and languages. Do any of you know about how many languages? There's a difference between an alphabet and a language. Any guesses? Languages spoken or signed, yeah. And everybody's got one of some kind. Not everybody has an alphabet. An alphabet is a specific symbol. The trunk comes up and it splits. This split goes into the Asian countries, okay? The Indic countries around India, the Asian countries. This side goes into the European and American side, and up here are samples of the modern, what they call glyphs, or the forms that the alphabet, the shapes that the alphabet take shape in different major languages. And ours is right here, the modern Roman. And we come down through the Roman, through the Etruscan, through the Greek, the Phoenician, and we come right back down here. The Chinese tree is by itself because as you think of the Chinese language, what do you see when you see the written form?
Characters.
Characters. Pictures. They're about 2,000. It's not an alphabet, it's not a symbol for a sound, but it did, people did have forms of communicating. This one is a navigational chart in which it shows the different, I always forget that word. What is it that goes through the oceans? Channels of water?
Currents.
Currents, yeah, currents. These are like the currents in the water. And then these are either islands or places under the water that they have to be careful of not hitting as they go through the water. So there were forms of communication that weren't in alphabet written letter type thing. The area here, Sumer, some of ours, and it did, though they evolved into the Roman script. They only had 22 letters, and they were all consonants, not one vowel. Now we speak with vowels. I mean, every culture has vowels, and some cultures have a whole lot of other things besides consonants and vowels. But in the Phoenician language, for some reason, they didn't need the vowels in order to communicate.
You're working the press.
Come on in so you can see what's going on here. Could have been about 850 or before 850, actually, that this got started. But there was a problem that the Greeks discovered, and that was that with the Phoenician alphabet, while it fit the Phoenician way of communicating, it sure didn't fit the way the Greeks communicated, because the consonants M, K, R, S meant one thing with the Phoenicians. But it could mean macros, which means big, or mikros, which means little, for the Greeks. And without consonants to show what MKRS was, they didn't know if it was big or little, and there were a whole lot of other words like that too. So they thought and thought and thought and came up with taking 5 of the Phoenician consonants here and turning them into A, E, I, O, U, and that's where our vowels come from. It was contained. He's the one also who put spaces in between the words. Up until then, there were no spaces in between the words. He's the one who came up with paragraphs and other forms. And then there are other things that have been developed since then, but Elkin of York is the one who primarily was responsible for it because of Charlemagne. Now another thing about this is if you wanted to have a book copied, like if you wanted a copy of the Bible, you would have to borrow one from Miriam over here, and if Miriam really trusted you, she'd let you have her Bible so that you could take it to Alcuin or another scribe. You would provide him with all of the quills, the ink, the parchment. They didn't have paper, but they had parchment. If you wanted it bound, you'd have to provide the leather. You'd have to provide for his living expenses during that time, and it would take a year or two for that book to be intricately copied from one book into another. And this was 800 years or so after Christ. Then, eventually, you'd get your book back. Well, it's either within this year, okay, come on. To escape the persecution, they kind of scatter all over the place. Well, what could have happened with these people if they weren't grounded in their own language in written form and in the Bible is as they went into the other cultures, they could have been absorbed by those cultures, but that didn't happen with them. Instead, God used them to spread Christianity wherever they went because they had the solid root of Christianity with them wherever they went. They could read and write that would work with their language. And so in the late 800s, after Christ was born, two brothers, Cyril and Methodius, were sent to live among them. And it wasn't too long before they discovered that, oh my, there are sounds in this language that aren't sounds like we're used to. Not only that, but we brought the Greek alphabet along to use with these people. This isn't going to work. So after a period of time, they developed other symbols, and they combined the two into the Cyrillic for Cyril, into the Cyrillic alphabet, which is still being used today in Russia. Now, the Bible was also translated into Aramaic. He didn't read, he didn't speak, he didn't read, he didn't write in his human form the ancient Jewish scripts, because by the time Christ came along, it was no more at that time. And I'll explain what happened in that one. But this Arabic is the modern form of the Aramaic, and I just wanted to show you how beautiful and flowy it is. It is used in the Islamic Muslim world all over the world. The Quran is not considered to be official unless it is written in the Arabic, and they use it a lot in wherever we let them, all over the place. And this is the original Old Hebrew script that is attributed to Aaron and Moses that the Hebrew nation took on, and it has evolved over the years into what is now called the Square Hebrew. Now, remember, did I mention Babylonian captivity? During the Babylonian captivity, even the children of Daniel, Meshach, and all those people were sent up to Babylon. They became absorbed into the culture. When they came back during the time of Nehemiah, civilization of the Hebrew was kind of lost. This little thing, this example highlights the Dead Sea Scrolls, which were found, but we have 3 syllables. And in your less complicated language, people have been able to develop syllables. 1300 in Korea, 1400. Remember, there was the lone Chinese, Cree, and Japanese. He looked around, he said, you know, I want my, it's the first one, King Sejong in 1400s, who got together a group of wise men and did the first scientific study on language. And so what he did, they discovered was they studied how the different sounds of their language were made, like the tongue in the mouth is in this shape, the k, you feel it back here, the n, you feel here, the anything with an sound comes from the mouth. And so they made symbols that referred to where the sound was coming from. And then their words came from the combination of these symbols. Well, it fit the Korean language just perfect, and the people began to read and write in no time. Language, the pictographic language of Chinese and Japanese. I'd love to tell you about the Cherokee because it has to do with America. This is a syllabary. Sequoia could not read this out so that you guys can maybe read it together. It is so interesting. It has to do with our history. He went through a lot of trouble to do this, a lot of persecution from his own people because the people thought that it was a magical spirit-led thing and they didn't want to get in trouble with the spirit world with this. Well, the Trail of Tears you've all heard of. I'm going to go over this lightly. Trail of Tears started at the Cherokee here in North Carolina and Tennessee and this area. There were also other tribes that were rounded up and walked all this way to Oklahoma where they were resettled. Andrew Jackson signed the proclamation allowing that. At the time that this happened, the people were well versed in their language, reading and writing. The Bible had become translated into their language. Most of the nation had become Christian. In fact, they had voted on the song Amazing Grace to be their national anthem, and I've spoken to several Cherokee that's usually think up, but they have alphabets. In music, if you think of it, musical notes, that whole system is an alphabet of communication. And they have found music notes, songs, in cuneiform tablets. Then you have the Braille, Punjabi, read from right to left, the other 3 read from left to right. The middle 3 read from left to right, and the end of all contains your name. Okay? I only have a couple seconds or minutes here. This one is devoted to, okay, now what is involved if you're calling about the tribe. I've heard Zulu. Somebody else last week said, no, this is another tribe. And they have a sound where they go, only in the middle of a word. Now, our tongues can't do it because our way of speaking has been set since we were about 10 years old. But let's see if I can get this going. Well, maybe I'm going too fast. Please go. Oh. I'm sorry. Wonderful to hear her sing because you just turn it off. Was a headhunter. And Lori Anderson, who is here, and Jean Cox, they asked in Peru if they could come and live among the people and learn their language. This was a dangerous thing to do because these people were headhunters. The reason they were, and the reason they killed any man that they didn't know, was because for years and years and centuries, everybody coming into their jungle hunted them down and did bad things to them. And so they developed a very vengeful, protective spirit. And he had the largest head collection of anybody. And you didn't want to stand next to him on a bad day for him because he'd think nothing of taking out his machete and just make you part of his head collection. Yet, Lori, who lives here, she's in her 80s now. And she lives here at Jars. And when they came into the village, he thought, well, these are just women. They aren't going to harm us. And besides, they're just looking for husbands. We'll give them a couple of our own, and then everything will be okay. Well, Chief Tariri was very surprised to find out that these women were not interested in husbands. I mean, that was unheard of. So he knew right away there was something different about these gals. All they wanted to do was learn his language and the ways of the people. And he was a very proudful man. So what he did was, he said, okay, if all they want to do is learn our language, I'm going to make sure they get it right. And right away from the beginning, he got involved in them learning the language, developing the alphabet, teaching reading,